The first floor was four grade schools, and then there was the fifth grade and the sixth grade was upstairs, and then the other classes were mingled in, and the basement was the Hirsch had his shop there for woodworking, and Proctor had for FHA, for future farmers. I went through. I went through all the way through the 10th grade, and then I had trouble with when I started the 11th grade, and then I got drafted, and I was in Germany when my classmates were graduating. I got a complimentary diploma, but they come through with a deal where anybody who went to service, they could automatically get a diploma.
It was really home. From my point of view, we were there every single day, and it was just a good environment. You don't find that kind of environment now. You didn't find it in other schools then. Mr. Penhale was by far my favorite. He taught English. So was Clark Kerr. I had him in the 7th grade, and I loved literature. Absolutely loved it and still do. Another one that I really liked was Miss Gibson. I think it was Miss Gibson. We called them all Miss and Mr. But she even came to my wedding. And Eileen Lamontagne, who was Eileen Hoyt before she married Lamontagne, she was the chorus teacher. She played the piano at my wedding.
In Detroit, most elementary schools were like one level and not real big. So when we came here, we looked at it and they said, that's a school you're going to be going to. And we thought, we'll get lost for sure, as big as that place is. Not realizing that it was elementary, junior high, and senior high. And that just kind of blew our mind. Mr. Ayers was a disciplinarian, and he did give me discipline when I needed it.
Then when I was in the office and Smart was interviewing my husband after it was all over, his secretary, Angie Calvert, said, "And what are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I can't take the job." I had no intention of teaching instrumental music. It was much too difficult. And I said, "I can't take the job. My husband has it," being smarty about it. And she said, "Shut up and sign the contract. You're going to teach 4th grade." Because it was 47, they needed teachers. So I went back to school, went back to Wayne at night and took classes in elementary education. I had classes, but only in music ed, So, and then I taught, and I loved it.
I made a lot of friends and learned a lot from being here at this school. It was a wonderful experience, and and have a lot of great memories. Graduated in 1954, and you met my wife Jan, and she was the love of my life. And I met her here at this school. She came from Oakley Park area, but went through 1st grade all the way through at this school. So, yeah, I have tremendous amounts of memory here.
It was the camaraderie that we had back then. It was only 400 people lived in Wall Lake in the wintertime back in 1551. And everyone knew everybody, and if you were in trouble, they helped you. We respected the teachers. They came to school every day dressed with a shirt and a tie, and we respected the teachers, and they had a great influence on my life.
There was really like a family. Well, he was here 2 years before I came, but we
was like
It
a
re-
family.
It was like a family. It was fun with the parents at that time too.
Yes, very much.
Because the faculty would have parent-teacher nights, and we'd play basketball,
We'd play
cards.
and they would invite us over, the teachers, for dinner. And it was very, very close-knit between the PTA and the teachers.
Yeah.
And it was memorable times, really, it was.
It was an old building, even then, it was an old building. But it was a pleasant place. I remember we were kind of instrumental in deciding that special ed kids should not just be locked in a room somewhere and never have any part in the rest of it. And we kind of took it upon ourselves to insist that they were going to be mainstreamed as much as we could.
Some of my favorite memories actually had to do with socializing with the staff. There were 7 or 8 of us that were all hired about the same time. And we had a group that did a lot of fun things together.
Howard Chenoweth hired me. I'm from Minnesota, and I came out here to teach. And it was the best move I ever made. I met my wife here in 1968. She taught here for a year, and that's the best memory I have because I got married. Well, you know, the kids here were really, really nice kids. They were interested, they were energetic, we had great athletics. I coached football the first few years. The best memory I have is the staff. It's just unbelievable. All the people that I got to know, God rest many of their souls because they're gone, but they were just wonderful. We did things socially, we got together, we talked to everybody as friends, and we did our job. And they were just great people.
I remember a lot of them. Mr. Cowan used to teach math, and he'd be he'd look out the window and start doing bird calls because we were up on the 3rd floor by all the trees, and then and I still see him to this day. But Larry Barlow, I had him as his first year teaching, and I always told him if he could survive our class that he was destined to do good things in elementary or in the education field because we were kind of wild at times. Oh, I remember, trying to, sneaking over at lunchtime to Jay's Dairy Queen and then trying to eat the evidence before you got back to school and things like that. There's places that you could hide in the hallway if you wanted to not attend class and things like that. So,
I remember the people. I remember the teachers that I worked with, and like I say, the kids. The kids were the best part. It was great. Howard Chenoweth was our principal, and Bill Menzel was our assistant principal. And it was a wonderful experience. Not easy by any stretch, but it was a great faculty. It was like a family.
And in my room, it helped me with the kids wrote papers graded by myself, and I got help from the English teacher and social studies and history and all that, while we problem solved through tech ed. And it was just a great experience for the kids. Sure, I filled in for Jim Beck, and Jim Beck was an icon. And Howie says, well, if you will take the job, I've got a couple coaching jobs. Would you be interested? Well, I played football my whole life. So I started coaching in 1970, and I coached to the time I retired in 2004. And working with kids that were on the edge and helping young men become young adults through sports, the social part of it. The more they're at school, the better they're going to like it. I just love the opportunity that I had to teach them all life.
It was a step out of your comfort zone for sure. But it kind of paved the path to move on to high school. And like I said, in high school, I took all the industrial ed classes as well, and we ended up building a house with Mr. Beck.
at Western, and I did that. And but yeah, it was a great stepping stone. I remember Mrs. Cleaves in math, and for a junior high boy to remember a math teacher, she was pretty good. But I remember Mr. Talion and Mr. Kibolowski. They were pretty big influences. They were the shop teachers, and they also coached baseball and football.
This staff, when we first came, we had a number of new teachers who came in because Clifford Smart had become the other junior high school. We split into two. This used to be the only junior high school. Clifford Smart came up, so they took part of the staff. The people who ended up here were a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun. We were close. I most certainly enjoyed the Wall Lake community. They were very supportive. I was the first possible minority who taught school in this district. Yet the parents supported me. They respected me. And I thoroughly enjoyed this community because of that. And this is why I have some real fun memories of this place.